is pollen pistil interaction. We ended with the contravancer divided, we ended with the pollination part, everything is wind up. Now the next topic is pollen pistil interaction. Now what is pollen pistil interaction? It is the interaction of pollen grains with the stigma and it ends with fertilization. It starts with the pollination and ends with fertilization. What is pollen pistil interaction? The interaction of pollen grains with the stigma for the fertilization process is called pollen pistil interaction, and the definition of pollen pistil interaction is the events of deposition of pollen grains on stigma. Pollen grains are deposited on the stigma to entry of pollen tube in the ovule. Now once the pollen grains are deposited on the stigma, it develops a pollen tube. We have studied in the male gametophyte. It produces a male tube and it enters in the ovule. This process is called as pollen pistil interaction. This is the definition of pollen pistil interaction. The definition is the events of deposition of pollen grains on the stigma to entry of pollen tube in the ovule is called as pollen pistil interaction. Now the pistil, the female part, have the ability to recognize the right type of pollen of same species. The pistil, or we are calling it as stigma. And the female part, the pistil, have the ability to recognize the right type of pollen of the same species, and if the pollen is of not right type, if it is of wrong type, the pollen is discarded. Now this is have the ability because now they have the ability because of some special proteins. Now the plant or the flower, it has the ability to recognize the right compatible or incompatible pollens because of some special proteins. Their genetic behavior have some special proteins in them which recognizes that which is the right type of pollen and which is the wrong type of pollen, which is the compatible pollen and which is not incompatible. That is recognized by the pistil due to some special proteins in it. The name of the special proteins are not given and neither you have to study it. Now next, compatible pollen. If the flower or if the pistil finds out that the pollen is compatible, it is the right one, then the compatible pollen absorbs water and nutrients from the surface of the stigma. When the compatible pollen is deposited on the stigma surface, it absorbs some water and nutrients from the surface of the stigma. Once they absorb water and nutrients, unless and until it does not absorb the water and nutrients from the surface of the stigma, they will not germinate. This is the important part. The compatible pollen absorbs water and nutrients from the surface of the stigma and then germinate and produces the pollen tube. The water and the nutrients that is present on the stigma is essential for the germination and the production of the pollen tube, which is impossible if the pollen is not compatible. Next, now the stigmatic surface provides essential requirements needed for germination which are absent in the pollen. The stigmatic surface provides, the female stigmatic surface provides with essential requirements, essential nutrients for germination which are absent in pollen. So if the pollen grain have to germinate or have to produce the pollen tube for the process of fertilization, it needs some essential requirements, it needs some essential nutrients which are absent in the pollen, and they take it from the stigmatic surface, the female surface, which provides essential requirement for the germination which are absent in pollen. Now the pollen tube, now once the pollen grain absorbs all the water, nutrients or the essential requirements which are needed for the pollen, it develops the pollen tube. Now once the pollen tube is developed in the male gametophyte, it finally enters in the embryo in the female part and they enter in synergids through the micropyle. We have studied that in female gametophyte it enters into the embryo in synergids which are present on the micropyle and then ruptures to release the contents present in the pollen grains. I'll repeat, the pollen grains, once the pollen tube is produced, it's by absorption of the essential requirements from the female stigmatic surface, it enters in the embryo in the synergid which is present in the micropylar and then ruptures to release the contents. Now you have to note that pollen grain can also be induced to germinate in a synthetic medium. But the medium is synthetic in the sense if you want to germinate the process, you want to germinate in a synthetic medium, a medium which is not suitable. If you still want to germinate it, there are some pollen grains which can be induced to germinate this. Best example given is sucrose. Sucrose is induced, like sucrose pollen grains are taken and induced. Sucrose is a protein, you know that we have studied lipids and content. Sucrose is a protein lipid which induces pollen germination and tube growth in a synthetic medium, a medium which is not suitable. So in such a medium, if you want to go with germination, if you want to grow the thing, therefore you have to induce sucrose, which will lead for the pollen germination and tube growth, and finally you will get the fertilization process and you will get the offsprings. Now the next is addition of boric acid. If you want to accelerate and to facilitate pollen germination, there is addition of boric acid. Please note that addition of boric acid facilitates and accelerates pollen germination. So this is all about pollen pistil interaction. We'll continue with the chapter. We'll continue with the chapter. We'll start with the next topic, that is outbreeding devices or contrivances. Now, pollination effects and agents of pollination, that all part is over. Now, based on that topic, we have to study about outbreeding devices or contrivances. Now, what is outbreeding devices and contrivances? Now, plants have special mechanism for inhibiting self-pollination. This mechanism is called as contrivances or outbreeding devices. As we know, in human beings, there are some barriers which are put forth for inhibiting reproduction processes. Therefore, same as in plants, there are mechanisms for inhibiting self-pollination. We have to study those contrivances as follows. The first one is unisexuality. Now, this is a contrivance, as a barrier for inhibiting self-pollination. So, unisexuality. What is unisexuality? The plant bears either male or female flowers. Now, for inhibiting self-pollination, the plant bears either male or female flower. Now, if a plant is bearing either male or a female flower, there is no point of having self-pollination for the reproduction process. They have to go for cross-pollination, and this is the outbreeding devices that leads for cross-pollination and inhibits self-pollination. So, unisexuality is that the plant bears either male or female flowers, and they inhibit self-pollination and go for cross-pollination. This process or this mechanism also is called as diasim. As flowers are unisexual, self-pollination is not possible and cross-pollination is as follows. Now, next contrivances or next outbreeding devices is dichogamy. Dichogamy is, in this case, anther and stigma. Anther or either stigma, the male or the female part of the plant, matures at different times in a bisexual flower. A flower in which male and female both are present in a same flower is called as a bisexual flower. And in dichogamy, in this case, either anther or the stigma, they mature at different times, and therefore they inhibit self-pollination and go for cross-pollination. When a part of the plant, that is the anther or the stigma, if they are not matured, they don't go for pollination or the reproduction process. Therefore, if they both would not be mature at the same time and they both will be getting matured at different times, then there is no point of having self-pollination. They will have to go for cross-pollination. This is the next outbreeding contrivance is dichogamy. Now, this same dichogamy is of two types. They are divided into two types. The first one is protoandry and the second one is protogyny. Now, what is protoandry? When androecium matures earlier, okay, protoandry is nothing but when androecium matures earlier than the gynoecium, the male part matures earlier than the female part. That part or that thing is called as protoandry. Protoandry dichogamy. The best example of it is florets of sunflower. And the next, protogyny. The gynoecium matures earlier than androecium. Now, in protogyny, the gynoecium matures earlier than androecium. That is, the female part matures earlier than the male part. The best example is glorissa of protogyny. Now, the outbreeding contrivances device, we have studied two types. The first one is unisexuality, in which the plant bears either male or female flowers, and therefore there is no point of having self-pollination. The second one is dichogamy. In this, the anther or the stigma matures at different times, and therefore there is no point of having self pollination. They will have to go with cross pollination. Dichogamy is also of two types. The first one is protandry and the protogyny. Protandry is androecium, matures earlier. Androecium is the male part, and protogyny gynoecium matures earlier. That is the female part. Matures earlier than the male part. And the best examples are Florus of sunflower, and the second one is Glorissa. Now next contrivances or the next outbreeding device is prepotency, the third one. Now in prepotency, pollen grains of other flowers germinate rapidly than the flowers of the same plant. Now in prepotency, now they have the plant itself, they have an ability to germinate pollen grains of other flowers more rapidly. Now germinate is nothing but the process of carrying out offspring, or the process of fertilization is called as germinate. When new flowers are produced in a flower, that process is called as germination. So in prepotency, the flower has the mechanism to germinate pollen grains of other flowers rapidly than the flowers of the same flower. The best example is of prepotency is apple. In apple, the pollen grains of the other flowers germinate rapidly than the flowers of the same flower. Now the next contrivance or the next outbreeding device is heterostyle. Now in heterostyle, in some it doesn't occur in all the plant, it just there are some specific plants such as primula. The best example of heterostyle is in primula. Primrose is another name of primula. So in some plants like primula, primrose, there are 2 or 3 forms or types of flowers in which the stigmas and the anthers are placed at different levels, so that they inhibit self-pollination and they go for cross-pollination. In heterostyle, there are some plants, like the best example is primula or primrose. There are 2 or 3 types and forms of flowers in which the stigmas and the anthers are placed at different levels, so that they can inhibit self-pollination and they can go for cross-pollination. So this was the contrivances or the outbreeding device which inhibits self-pollination and go for cross-pollination. Now the next contrivances is hergogamy. Hergogamy is it is a natural physical barrier which is present between the 6 organs of the plants, and to avoid contact for pollination, self-pollination in specific. So hergogamy is nothing but there is a naturally physical barrier present in the plants or the anther or the stigma between the organs of the plants, reproductive organs, to avoid contact and to avoid self-pollination and go for cross-pollination. The best example is Calostropis tentacular stigma, in which stigma is positioned above the level of the anther to avoid self-pollination. So the physical barrier present in this plant, the best example of Calostropis pentacular. Calostropis pentacular, best example of hergogamy plant in which physical barrier is present to inhibit self-pollination and to go for cross-pollination. Now the next contrivances or the next outbreeding device is self-incompatibility. Now in self-incompatibility, there is a genetic mechanism. Now this genetic mechanism is like in this flower, the genes or the genetic behavior makes them to germinate, like if the anther or the stigma, the both are present in the same flower, but still they have a genetic mechanism in which they inhibit germination by self-pollination and they go for cross-pollination. Now this is the genetic behavior. The flower itself, they have the ability to recognize that these are the anthers of the same flower, and we don't want to go for the germination or the self-pollination process. Therefore in self-incompatibility, the plant itself inhibits by genetic mechanism for self-pollination and goes for cross-pollination. The best examples are tobacco and thea.